So the title of my presentation is the online studio culture, which is something that we experienced during the emergency online experience that we all went through. So the presentation poses many questions, more than answers. First, we'll try to understand what is the studio culture, and is there an online studio culture that is different than the face-to-face studio? According to Miles, shared vision, not shared spaces, create a culture. So we lost the spaces that we used to teach in, but we didn't lose the culture we teach architecture through. So I'll go back to the beginning briefly. How did architectural education start? It all started here in the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris in 1648, where architecture was taught for the first time in a formal way. So students were experiencing the locations and the places of the Beaux-Arts, and it was their home for the duration of their stay in the Beaux-Arts school. This is how the Beaux-Arts atelier or the studio looked like at that time. Students used to have their own space for working and ddesigning, and most of the old generation present here, they know these kinds of drawing boards and drawing tables, and the atmosphere inside the studio. It was exactly like this in all parts of the world, actually. And this is a large studio where the studio master was the head of the studio, who students stay with him for a period of their study, and then they graduate from his studio or atelier. Inside the studio, the students do many things. They draw, they sketch, they make models, they read and study. When they grow, of course, to the final years, studios start to look different. The sizes of boards, they become larger. The amount of time they spend in the studio becomes more. They stay in the studio 24 hours for several days. The studio is like a home for them. And their relationship and their feeling starts from inside the studio environment. Presentations and juries start also from that tradition, where students display their boards and drawings, and there's a panel of jurors who examine them and discuss with them their designs in harsh ways, as we say. So the competency framework of the Beaux-Arts was based on providing knowledge, skills, and attitudes. The attitude that is generated from the setting and the environment and the school was very important for the development of a complete architect. From the Beaux-Arts, architectural education started to spread in different parts of the world to the AA School of Architecture in London, to the Bauhaus in Germany, and to other parts, and to the MIT in the United States, where it started its own schools of architecture. So this became a tradition of teaching architecture based on a studio environment. And it became a framework that everything feeds in the design courses within the studio environment. Knowledge courses, history, theory, fine arts, humanities, engineering, all these courses, they feed into the knowledge. And then there are skills based on thinking, personal and psychomotor skills that are taught within the studio environment, and all these are fed into the feed into the design courses and the studio environment. The teaching was based on project-based learning, and this is the tradition until now. Students are given a project, whether in a real site or a hypothetical site, sometimes on the moon or Mars, and they are asked to perform the tasks of the architect in a studio. And this is guided by the studio instructor, who provides them with the directions, what is required and what to do, and follows them throughout the design studio. It mimics the problems that they face in the real world after graduation. Students also understand the interdisciplinary nature of the profession, that architects cannot work alone. They have to work and understand other disciplines, structural, mechanical, electrical, and other disciplines. And each task required from the students can have many solutions as many students in the studio. So there is no one correct solution. There are many correct solutions or solutions to this problem. So students have the freedom to choose their strategies, approaches, and they can become engaged together in the learning and understand that they have to have an open mind there. This tradition became all over the world, in all design studios, in different parts of the world, different countries. It became the environment where students work, stay hours, overnight, several days, and this has been like a second home for them. So we don't, we are not surprised to see studios in that condition. This is not for design studios where students work and submit their projects and presentations. They also do other things. They make models, they draw sketches, they read, they build physical models of their projects. They can be working alone and drawing and drafting. They can also work computers and within the studio environment. They can be working in their environment. Another part of the experience is the informal conversations and chats with colleagues on the side, with faculty members, with visitors, with maybe non-architecture students from other departments and other specializations. But these discussions, these personal one-to-one discussions, are extremely important in the design studio. So students can get critique, they can get feedback, they can get corrections of their ideas, and instructors can guide them where they are going. This is a learning experience that they all go through with their instructors and colleagues. Sometimes they receive visitors from outside, architects that can give them also feedback in lectures or meetings, or before, after the juries. And this is also a very important learning experience for all of them. Of course, there are some formal, there is the formal part of education where classes take place in classrooms with regular classrooms and lectures and so forth, or seminars. And also verbal part or the presentations, where students learn how to present their projects. From year one, they have to make presentations of their projects to a panel or visitors or clients or owners of projects, and they have to learn the skills of presenting, receiving criticism, replying, convincing, understand the different points of view, and so on. So this is also part of the learning experience of the architecture students. Site visits are also important. Students visit construction sites and buildings under construction. They all visit finished buildings, and they learn maybe from the engineers, the site themselves. They talk to them about the construction experience, problems, solutions, site safety. So they learn what graduation. Sometimes they also receive lectures out of projects. So they tell them what is their experience or their idea behind the site. The display, very important, displaying students' projects in exhibition or temporary, or another important experience where work of this, and other students can look at these drawings at any time, and they learn from them. So this permanent exhibition, going through a corridor that has drawings and models posted, is an experience, is a learning experience for students. So a student can learn on themselves on their own time to how to look at drawings and learn from them. So there's also public events. These events are where people are invited to the presentation and to display the students' work different occasions. And this can be really a good opportunity for students to display their projects and their ideas to outsiders. And it's also a job hunting opportunity for students to meet with architects and owners of companies. Some work can be displayed in shopping mall. So this is a work of students that is displayed in a shopping mall, so people can see from different disciplines and different places. So there are different also speakers, public speakers. They give presentations. This is also something that happened here at Dar al-Hikmah, first architectural conference. All these are part of the students' presentation. When computers started to get into the field, they started to be taught in isolated computer labs. So students go to the computer lab where they learn computer skills and how to operate the computers in isolation from the studio. But after a while, computers came to the studio environment and became part of the studio experience. So instead of being isolated in computer labs, now we have electronic design studios that integrates computers and technology into the studios. So we started to find this integration. The student does not get the learning experience from one side. It's coming from different directions, from different sources, from context of the city or the place in, and different parts of the environment and different people. And so it's not only a delivery of content. It's a whole experience and a whole culture of learning. Suddenly, everything stopped. We have a lockdown, and we suddenly frozen on time. So we didn't know what to do. We relied on the online experience. So the lockdown happened suddenly. We slept and woke up in a new world. It was shocking for everyone. In the beginning, there was a denial that it would continue. We expected it to be like 2 or 3 weeks, and then that's it. We go back to our classrooms and studios. So we started like a month and a half face-to-face, and then transition happened, and there was no choice. There was to go to online. It was the only solution everyone relied on. There was no time for reflection. We had to do it immediately. But our students, they had their own concept, how to do and present their work to their instructors, how to see other friends and colleagues see in the studios. So it was really shocking. It was time of the shift was made us rely on online teaching. Online teaching is there for a long time, for like 15 or 20 years, but it was never used or utilized effectively. Communication started with the Ministry of Education. Campus closed. Students went 1 week spring break, and we went to familiarize ourselves with the systems and the technology of online teaching through training, experimentation, and it was learning by doing. And after 1 week, it all started again, but online. So as the comic says, I will teach you wherever you are. I will teach you in a room. I will teach you now on Zoom. I will teach you in your house. I will teach you with a mouse. I will teach you here and there. I do because I can. So just do your very best and don't worry about the rest. So from this experience, and we lost a lot and we gained a lot. So on the experience in the beginning, which tried to and squeeze our traditional teaching method in the new format. It was mostly positive at the end, but of course there are tips, and we could have done anything better than what we did. So now we can think about what will we do next? What methods do we use next semester if we start time? What new formats? How to use the new format to its maximum capability instead of fitting what we used to do in this format? How can we do this differently since we have this experience? We can look at it as an opportunity to step up and really get out of our traditional working method and think about something different and new. Architects and problem solvers, we were excited to use this new tool. It's practical. We have moved from student center to curriculum center, and this was understandable due to the problem of time and emergency. We focus too much on the formal delivery and less on the process of delivery. In the beginning, it was hectic. It was very stressful for hosts and others. We had these four, we didn't use that. Some students were more prepared than their faculty members or their instructors. Senior students were more relaxed because they depended on their face-to-face personal physical experience that they had before.
It seems that we lost the voice of Dr. Yasser. Just few moments until the problem is resolved. Yes, Dr. Yasser? We still can't hear you. You are muted, Dr. Yasser. You need to unmute yourself.
Okay. Can you hear now?
Yes, yes, it's perfect.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry for this technical error. Yes.
That's okay.
Go ahead, doctor.
As I was saying, senior students who are more comfortable or less stressed by this experience because they had face-to-face experience before. But young students were struggled more because they didn't have enough experience in the studio or in the environment, and they had less skills and principles of but they both suffered from the absence of friends and colleagues and solitary work environment and intense work, because the online work is more intense than the face-to-face work. Instead of having this experience, as we said before, now students are having this experience only. They are learning through internet, Blackboard and Zoom, mostly knowledge and formal teaching, and they lost all the other aspects that they used to learn from. So it is actually more, less in quantity, but more intense type of teaching. So what did happen of the change of the media from face-to-face to online? So we moved from the drawing boards and the studio environment to computers and online environment. Instead of having instructors and students and drafting tables and drawings, sketches, color pens and everything in the studio, now have computer screens, 14-inch or 15-inch screens. This is the limit of our size. And we don't have tracing paper, so we have to use annotations on the screens. And to communicate with the students, we depended mainly on Blackboard and Zoom. These were our means of communication. So classes were scheduled regularly as if it's face-to-face classes through Zoom. Documents were exchanged through Blackboard, and of course WhatsApp groups were started to send alarms or send announcements quickly and communicate quickly with the group. Projects were reviewed online, annotations on computer screens, everything 14-inch or 15-inch size. Office hours were also scheduled through Zoom. Time management was terrible because actually everyone was working 27. Mess go forth middle of the night. Everyone was sending emails and messages time. Juries were invited from all over the world, and this was a good thing. So we opened up to the different parts of the world. Non-design and lecture courses were using like Cornell notes, so students take notes during the lecture to assure their attention and questions. Participation through discussion, presentations, examinations, using Blackboard and Zoom. So we used to have reviews on screens and annotations by instructors on the screens, providing some feedback on students' work. Also, exams were delivered, lectures were given, recorded and uploaded, so students can find them anytime, whenever they want. And this is the easy part of the process here. Exams were difficult, were very tricky, how to monitor students during the exam. So they had to use their mobiles so that we can see the screens and trying to assure that there is no assistance. So this was as much as we were able to do. Attendance was also done through the participants' names. And this was a whole experience that we went through. It was emergency, it was quick, and it was fast. The important thing was to continue the process or the semester with at least interruption as possible. Now we finished the spring, almost the summer is finished, and now the fall is coming. Are we going to start online or face-to-face? What changes do we need to implement before the fall term starts? How can we start more balanced and understand what worked and what didn't work, and how to organize the transition to that new environment. First question we ask is, what do we exactly do? We had face-to-face before, but was it emergency teaching? Was it distant? Was it distributed? Was it mobile? Was it remote? Was it online? Was it blended, virtual, hybrid? We hear many terms about what actually is going through. So understanding what it is all over the world. Everyone questioning what did exactly do? What to online or emergency teaching or remote teaching? There are many names given by people about what exactly was happening. Online has many ways to implement it, and we need to understand exactly how we are going to select the format for our online. It's going to be fully online, blended 50-50, blended 25 to 50%. What is the pace? Is it self-paced, class-paced, class-paced with self-paced? Number of students, the ratio of the student faculty member, what kind of pedagogy is going to be implemented, expository, practice, exploratory, collaborative? What is the instructor's role as an active online or small presence online or none? The listen or read, complete problems or answers, explore simulation and resources, collaborate with others, online communication, is it synchronous, some blend of source of feedback, automated or teacher or peer. So we had experience with what happened in Mercy, this online, and these are all experiences that we can learn from and try to evaluate the different aspects of this emergency remote teaching that we do in terms of the context, the input, the process, and the product. How can we use this experience to benefit our future teaching and academic experiences? So we need to go through evaluations of the context, the input, the process, and the product of what we do. And there are personal circumstances also that another layer of the experience. Privacy issues are important, like the non-use of videos for the students. It creates more and visual distancing. Everyone is working in isolation, including the instructor. It's not only the student is working in isolation, it's also the instructor. This is a common picture from online studios in other parts of the world, but this is actually what happens here. As an instructor is sitting alone with black screens with some letters on them, and there is no existence visually or physically of students. So this is not only learning in isolation, it's also teaching in isolation, and both sides really experience this. Challenges relating to the expression of the emotions of attendees. So currently, I don't know how each one of you feels. You are using some of your senses, not all of them, but we cannot get the emotions of each one. So actually, what we are doing is not only teaching, it's a new culture. From the physical to the virtual, we are jumping to a new world. We need to understand, is it a tool or a media or method or an approach or a technique or a new process? So how do we understand types of instruction needs, and how develop our future for the structure? We need to look at means and compare it to face the environment, the documentation. These are items that are usually in this studio manual. So the studio can includes these items, and need also to think about them for the online studio. So the junior students, they need to be looked at. They don't have previous experience. They didn't have opportunity to make friends. And we need to find ways to make them the new technology. So looking back at Bloom's taxonomy and the famous pyramid of Bloom that we all know, it's developing now. It look again at the Bloom taxonomy in 2020, putting communication as a base. Without communication, the whole thing cannot work. Go up with other learning fields. Again, we learn a lot. There are many, especially the students' role, and the student really students were able to get new skills of communication for their working. They lost a lot. We gained opening to the whole world, having reviewers from different parts of the world, invite speakers. We have good documentation of what is happening all the time digitally. We can have real-time collaboration between students and instructors, but we lost the one-to-one relationship, student-to-student interface, meeting someone by chance, which is extremely important in architecture, to meet other people in the corridor, in another studio, to visit other studios. This is also important, and get feedback from other studios. The model making experience, the workshop, this is also lost. Visiting the library, a few students go to the library nowadays, and they depend on the web, but the library was also a place for learning and studying. Having exhibitions and displays.
There seems to be an issue with Dr. Yasser's audio. Yes.
Yes.
Doctor, you're back with us?
Yes, I'm about to finish. Yes, just 1 minute.
Go ahead.
Now everything is becoming formal. No casual, no contact. So all these challenges we need to address and find solutions for them before we start the next semester or future online teaching formally. So having online tools is not enough. We really need to think again about the physical spaces of the campus and how to transform them into virtual spaces. We need to rethink the notion of time. Time is not time schedule as we used to have before. We have open and parallel times that we can work through. So maybe in the future we'll need less classrooms and more IT. We need virtual workshops and fabrication labs that students can work online. Online printing and model making facilities. So we need all the spaces that we used to have, but in a new way, in a virtual way. So probably we need the student to open the computer and find the spaces that they used to have, but in a virtual way. A gallery, a studio, a corridor, and they can select to go to the corridor and look at the displays, or go to a studio, or go to the workshop and print. So students can select to go to any of these facilities at any time. So it's not limited to a time schedule. The department is open all the time, and they can visit a lecture, they attend, they can go find someone in the cafeteria or attend a classroom. So they need to feel as if they are living inside the department, not learning through scheduled time and scheduled delivery of information and knowledge. So they can walk in the corridor and look at other students' displays. They can go to the exhibition hall, to the gallery, to attend a lecture, or go to the faculty members' offices for office hours. So we need a whole new experience, a virtual experience that really satisfies the needs of the architectural education and the studio experience. So to conclude, I think it's an opportunity to make a leap, to open up and step up to a new world. From this experience, I think education will not continue to be as it was before. I think we are going to go through a new world. Whether it is that old world or not, we still don't know. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your patience for the long lecture. Thank you.